Oh, it's so good to be out again. Feels naughty, but needed to be done. It needed to be done. It's Tuesday the 9th of June 2020. Now I say that as a reference point because it's 11 weeks since we've been in lockdown and I haven't been out. I've been to work, I'm a key worker, I've been going to work and I've been doing a little bit of shopping as and when needed, but that's it, that's the only time I've been out. I did take some portrait pictures the other day. I didn't film it or anything like that, but I was just really close to the house. But I've not really been away from everything and everybody. I needed that space and I felt fed up and lethargic and didn't know why, and I didn't really want to admit that lockdown was getting to me, but it was. It definitely was. There was something there, and camping in the garden was great, it was good, but it was still in the confines of the house, confines of the garden, confines of, you don't get that view at home, you know. So yeah, unfortunately the weather's going to be turning over the next few days. It's what, Tuesday now, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, looks like there's rain coming in, so today's going to be the best opportunity. Unfortunately it's cloudy and I've been at work all night. I am tired. I've had about an hour's sleep and I've got a face like a corrugated sausage roll. I am beyond tired, but I had to come out. Although the sun is beginning to break as I say that. Hopefully it'll break a little bit more and then we might get those fluffy little white cumulus clouds. Hopefully. I brought all the filters for the camera. But yeah, we're at a place called Breedon on the Hill. Breedon on the Hill has got a Priory Church, a little village. East Midlands International Airport is about a couple of miles in that direction. You've got Castle Donington and the racetrack, Donington Park, next door to it. You've got Nottingham in that direction, Derby in that direction. You've got Leicester a few more miles in that direction. Loughborough. Yeah, there's plenty of places around here. It's a beautiful little spot. It's close to home as well. It's not like a million miles away. Work for me is in that direction and home is in that direction. This is just a tiny little detour, so it's not like I'm going to be going up to Durham or something like that, you know, nothing silly like that. No, I won't dream of doing anything like that. Yeah, that's where I am. Just enjoying the cup of coffee because obviously being up at work all night, I need some caffeine. I really do. I've got to do some filming. Oh dear, I don't know if I can do it. Coffee. Hey, haha, ding dong, ting ting. Yeah. Anyway, I'm going to get fueled up on this, and then I'm going to walk that way and have a look at the church. And hopefully this cloud will break up a little bit, and we might get some fluffy little clouds. Cumulus clouds. Anyway, catch you in a bit. I'm going to enjoy this. This is nice coffee. Well, I found my first composition. Not gonna lie, been here before plenty of times, and I do like this particular composition. You've got a tree either side of the church, and then you've got the gravestones littered about, but you've got 4 or 5 gravestones in the foreground to give that prominent foreground interest. Now I'm going to be using the 16-35 f4 lens, and I'm going to use that about f11, I think, to get sharpness front to back as much as possible. I'm not a fan of focus stacking. I'll have to admit, I'm not a fan of focus stacking, but I am a good 10 to 12 feet away from the first gravestone, so hopefully that'll be okay. So the only thing left to do now is get the camera out and get started. Still feels naughty. It probably is. I want to go wide, but not that wide. And I need to come a little bit higher. Now this ground is a little bit spongy, so it's not exactly easy. Now this is the first. This is the first time I'm using properly the new leaf filter 100 holder. It's that sort of plastically construction, looks like carbon fibre, but you know it isn't. And on that I've got a wide angle adapter ring. Does feel very plasticky, no two ways about it. Okay, and now we've got the ND Grad, and again, new filter pouch. Not used this yet. I think with it being a church and being it's not like a straight horizon, and it's not like being at the seaside. I think a medium or a soft edge is going to be about my limit. Try a soft. So this is a Lee 0.9 soft. Might even try a there we go. That brings a little bit of detail into the highlights of the sky. Now I'll show you what I'm going for on the video camera. So I'm going for a shot very similar to this, where the church is in between the two trees, and then you've got these gravestones in the foreground. And I'm using a soft ND Grad 0.9 soft, which is the hardest 3-stop grad basically, and that will darken this. If that doesn't work, then I'm going to be looking at HDR, but that cloud is pretty pasty white. It's not really popping yet. It's not the best of weather conditions, but it's the best I can do at the moment. Now all the Canon cameras that I've used is in a function called AEB, which is auto exposure bracketing. You go into that setting, you roll the dial, and then basically you've got 3 little dots on a line: -3, -2, -1, 0, +1, +2, +3. And you can roll them out to either -1, +1, -2, +2, -3, +3. So you've got an exposure for shadows and the highlights. And when you put them into the computer, when you take those 3 images and put them into the computer, it takes information from the dark image, the underexposed image, and uses that partly for the sky, which is overexposed now, and then the shadows, which will be the ground, the graveyard that's here now, that will be very much underexposed. So it will use information from the lighter part of the image, if that makes sense. It kind of makes sense. I think it does. So yeah, the ND Grad is great, but I don't think it's enough at the moment. And yeah, I'm not a big fan of polarizers all the time, especially not the one for this filter kit. I think I'm about as far forward as I want to be now. Those gravestones really are pretty close. Good, what, 5 feet? I'm trying to be respectful as much as I can. And I'm going to focus in on the church, and I think on this one what I'm going to do is take a series of shots, but for this, so I know that's a series of shots, I've just photographed my hand in front of the lens. So I know that the next series of shots will be all the photos I need to bunch together. And now, focus back in on that church. And this is HDR -1 stop, +1 stop, and obviously 0 as well. F11 ISO 100. Right, okay. Now that's -2 stops and +2 stops, which is way overexposed on the +2 stops. Way over. I've got blinkies on, telling me that I'm overexposed. You took a bad shot. I know. I think in the interest of this, I am actually going to focus stack. But what I'm going to do again, I'm going to point to the gravestone. So now I pointed to the gravestone, I know exactly where I focus on the next series of shots. Make sure that that focus hasn't moved. Yeah. Again, -2 stops and +2 stops. And then -1 and +1 stop. And there we go. And then finally, to finish off that sequence, there we go, hands in front. Now I know the fact that the series of shots where my hand is at the front, that's all one set of shots. I think that's going to do it for today. It's coming up to 10:30. Do you know what I needed today? I needed today. I've got to get home and walk my dog. That's a priority. I've been to work all night. I've done this. But I needed it. I really did need it. And 11 weeks of lockdown is a long time just to be going to work and going home and just doing the same thing day in, day out, day in, day out. And I wasn't depressed. I was not depressed. But I was fed up and I wasn't very motivated to do anything. And I couldn't quite put my finger on it. Couldn't quite work it out why. I had a feeling lockdown was something to do with it. And it's funny because I was talking to a gentleman that walked by here and he said about he was just starting to go out again and he was getting fed up with it too. And so many people are just like starting to say, yeah, do you know what, I've had enough. Now this for me, although this graveyard and this church it's not the prettiest scene in the world, it's not the Lake District, it's not Northumberland, it's not, you know, it's a little pretty church with a graveyard in North West Leicestershire. But it's done me a world of good today. It really has. It's a break from the normal, from the getting up, go to work, come home, walk the dog, go to bed, get up. That, after 11 weeks, it's enough to drive anyone mad. And we forget the freedoms that we had before, and we took them for granted, and we went, you know what, I'm just going to nip down to the chip shop, I'm just going to nip here, I'm going to nip, and they're not there, they're not open at the moment, and it grinds on you after a little while. It gets to you because you can't do what the things that you wanted to do. God help anybody that was, you know, is in this position on a normal basis. I've been doing it for 11 weeks, and if I had any hair to pull out, I'd be pulling it out. I've tried, but I can't. We need to get out. We need to break that monotony. 11 weeks in lockdown. Just go for a little drive. Now we've got that little bit more freedom, just a little bit of drive. I'm not talking about going to Durham or somewhere like that. I'm talking about, 10, 15 mile drive. Just get away. As long as it makes you feel better, just do something that makes you feel good. Because when we do get out of lockdown, when we do get this virus gone, and hope to God it's sooner rather than later and we don't get a second wave, I hope to God that doesn't happen. We need to look after our mental health now, because when that virus is gone, when there's a cure or a vaccine for it, we need to be in good shape. We don't want to be a mess when things turn back to normal again. And our mental health is important. I wasn't depressed. I know what depression feels like. I could write a book on depression. I was fed up and I wasn't motivated. And I needed space. Last year with the camping and the photography, I learned something about myself, and it was a very big important lesson. The fact that I don't need large groups of friends. I don't need to be popular. I don't need that. I just want occasionally a nice quiet space, a picturesque place, somewhere to take photos. Maybe picturesque, maybe not. I need that, and I need that alone time to be able to process life. And that's what today's been about. And yeah, it's not the most picturesque of places and that, but it's been a break from the norm, and I've needed it. And I think we all need to take a lesson from that. We all need to look after ourselves in this lockdown, because it's not normal. It's not normal to have all these restrictions in place. It's not normal to be able to queue up in the shops, 2 metre distance everywhere. That's not normal. That's not life as we knew it. It's like a culture shock, isn't it? Anyway, that's my thought for the day, for what it's worth. I've got to go home and get my little boy out for his walk before it gets too hot for him. I love him to bits. That's why this channel's partly named after him. But I needed this, and his walk had to wait a little bit, because I knew the fact that I need to be strong for me as well for him. Yeah, I'm babbling. I do apologise. Makes a change from the gardener, doesn't it? Yeah. In this lockdown, folks, look after yourself. Get out a little bit. Stretch those legs. Go for a little long walk. Do something that makes you feel good. Believe me, you'll thank yourself for it. See you later.